Get on the floor! Do it now!
The Special Constabulary is the nation's volunteer police force.
Do you know the gent?
What's your speed?
It's made up of over 20,000 members of the public.
It's gone down there.
Who give their time to fight crime in their communities.
Out! Get out of the car! Get out of the car!
Specials combine their day jobs
Stage, please!
and home lives
Here's a good boy.
with being serving police officers on the front line. Coming up, a man with a knife is on the loose in Cambridgeshire.
Hands behind your head! Stay there, do not move!
Ross helps a disabled man who's been hit by a van.
Do you have any pain anywhere?
On my right thumb.
Yeah, whereabouts? Is it your hip?
And a woman's miraculous escape from a horrific car crash.
Any further to the right, she would have been killed.
It's just before midnight, and Special Constable Chris Hallett is out on shift with colleague PC Colin Johnson. A report has just come in of a double stabbing in a town in Cambridgeshire. The perpetrator has fled the scene and is still at large.
Can you go again with the description, please, for the stabbing? Got a description of the male, so we're just going to head on the way down there to see if we can find him.
Chris has been a special constable for a year and is used to being called to potentially dangerous situations.
What was going through my head was, get this chap off the street. Is he going to stab anyone else? Are you going to go home that night?
Chris was already working for Cambridgeshire Constabulary before becoming a special. In his day job, he's a site manager, in charge of building maintenance and security at 2 police training centres.
I didn't really. Sorry about the parking. Will that reach down the bottom, mate? Yeah.
But the main reason he became a special is because he himself has been a victim of crime.
About 8 years ago, I was attacked in a kebab shop after a night out, and yeah, I was quite seriously hurt and put in hospital. It's one way of contributing, stopping that from happening to someone else.
All units are now heading to the scene. A potentially dangerous attacker is on the loose in an area surrounded by open countryside.
Sort of quite remote, a lot of country roads and fields. Could have hid somewhere quite easily. And the reason why we have a lot of units is sort of to contain that area, so he's got no opportunity to get out.
Chris and Colin head into the centre of town. Just as some worrying new information comes through about the extent of the victim's injuries.
At that time, it was said that it was serious. We didn't know exactly how serious, but I suppose you've got to treat it as sort of worst scenario, haven't you?
The police are now on red alert. Their intelligence has provided them with a name for the suspect, and they need to find him before he strikes again. And on a dark stretch of road on the outskirts of town, it looks like Chris and Colin might be in luck.
He looks more of the age profile.
Could this be the man they're looking for?
Yeah.
Just keep your hands out your pockets for us, just so we confirm. That's all right.
But it turns out to be a false alarm. The man provides ID that proves he's not the suspect.
Cheers, buddy.
Chris and Colin decide to try a new strategy. The police believe the suspect may be heading towards a specific address, so they lie in wait in a nearby street.
We're just going to have to see if he pokes his head out. If he does, obviously we'll update the control room, because if he's got a knife, that would normally be the firearms unit that would deal with that.
In a situation like this, Chris and his fellow officers are putting their lives on the line. And yet, despite the danger, Chris does the job entirely for free.
You don't think about whether you're being paid or you're not being paid. When I joined the specials, I didn't particularly want to be just walking around the streets speaking to people. You know, I wanted to get my hands dirty and jump in and get involved with stuff.
It's now almost an hour since the stabbing, and the offender could be anywhere. But at midnight, it seems the team's patience might have paid off.
Was it him?
Excuse me.
Stand back. Stand back.
I was concerned that that was the chap that had the knife and the way he was walking towards us. Yeah, I thought he was going to have a go.
Excuse me, chap. This is only for our own safety, right? Have you got anything on you?
My hair's clean in there. No money whatsoever.
Okay, I'm going to cuff you, mate, because at the moment I just need to be sure who you are, okay?
But once again, it's a false alarm.
Pull this out of my pocket, can you? No, that's my wages. Try that one. I'm not lying here. Yeah.
An identity check reveals that the man is not the suspect.
He gave me a card check, and I was just walking out.
The police now believe the suspect may already have arrived at the address they've identified and be hiding inside.
Got our firearms team and the dog handler moving forward now to go and search that address, as we believe we might be there. So they're just obviously doing a few last checks before they move forward to that address. And hopefully in a moment we'll find out whether he's there or not.
As the armed officers approach the house, Chris and Colin make sure no one else enters the street.
We closed off the street due to the fact we didn't know whether the suspect was in the house. I mean, he could have been hiding down the side of the street in a bush, anything like that. And our, main role is to protect the public.
The team now waits for news from the house, but then Chris suddenly spots someone approaching from down the street.
It is. Does that look like him?
Yeah.
It is.
Get on the floor. Put your hands behind your head. Hands behind your head. Stay there, do not move. Hands behind your back.
Hands behind your back, so you do not say anything, but it may have a defence. You do not mention in question, so we should let the alarm report. Anything you do say may be given an evidence. Stay there, sir.
It was tense. You didn't know what sort of state of mind he was in. You don't know what he's going to do.
Have you got anything on you that might hurt us or yourself?
The police carry out a thorough search, but find no knives or other offensive weapons. But have they got the man they were looking for?
Once he was detained, we checked ID, and it was him.
So their priority now is to take him to the police station for questioning. It's the end of a successful operation, which in no small part is down to Chris.
It was a relief to find him, and it was a pat on my back for spotting him. Originally, we weren't the officers that were attached to the incident. We were in a completely different town. Yeah, and it turns out that we got the arrest.
The man was later charged with common assault and 2 counts of GBH with intent, and is due to appear in court in a few months' time. Specials are unpaid volunteers who work alone or alongside the regular police to fight crime in their communities.
You got all of them.
Don't want to see you walking on the main road again.
Come on.
Recovery's obviously en route.
Specials are not police community support officers. They're fully fledged members of the police force who have the same powers in law as their paid colleagues, including the power of arrest.
Stop it.
Move over.
No.
Move out of the way.
No.
Within many special constabularies, officers can rise through the ranks, from constable all the way to chief specials officer.
Ouch, I found a thorn.
Let me remind you, you're under arrest, and anything you say will be written down.
Specials work 16 hours a month or more as volunteers and undertake all kinds of duties, from policing community events to arresting hardened criminals. It's a winter's day in Cambridgeshire, and temperatures are well below freezing. Special Sergeant Ross Spaltoff is about to start his shift with PC Samantha McMurray.
It was the worst day, I think, of the year that we were in at that time that I can remember. It was very icy, it was very foggy, visibility on the roads was poor. We came on at 7, I'm sure by 11 o'clock in the morning we'd had 9 accidents, collisions, just in our area of South Cambs alone.
Former accountant Ross joined the Specials 4 years ago, giving up his evenings and weekends to help the regular police force patrol the streets of Cambridgeshire. He now volunteers full-time as a Special.
It's always something I've wanted to do. The pay's not really relevant to me. It's just I want to give something back to the community.
And Ross now has an added reason to want to give something back. Having split from his ex-girlfriend, 1 day a week he looks after his 14-month-old son, Elliot.
Since I became a dad, I mean, it's had a huge impact on, I would say, my life experience. I think it's, you know, a primary reason really now for doing this, in that obviously my son and other, you know, children of his generation, I'd like them to grow up in a safe world and safe environment. For me. Thank you. Ta.
Ross is so passionate about his police work that he's now been accepted as a regular officer and will start his job in a few months' time.
It'll be one of the proudest days of my life, I think, when I hopefully can have that contract to sign and have the passing out parade.
In the meantime, he's happy to live off his savings while he volunteers full-time as a Special. Today, conditions on the road are treacherous. Ross and Samantha have barely left the station when they're called to a car that has slid off the road into a ditch.
Hello, mate.
He'd clearly slalomed across the road, slid off onto the grass. No damage to the vehicle, no injuries, but he was just waiting for recovery.
Thanks very much, all the best.
It turns out this is just the first casualty of the cold weather. Back on the road, Ross and Samantha get a call to another incident a few miles away.
Got an RTC come in Papworth Everard, just outside the post office. Car versus wheelchair.
Right, so we're first on scene.
A van has reversed into a man who was crossing the car park in his wheelchair, throwing him to the ground.
How are you?
Bit shaken.
Bit shaken. Do you have any pain anywhere?
On my right side.
Yeah, whereabouts? Is it your hip? Yeah. When I arrived at the scene, the gentleman was laying on the ground of the car park, covered by coats, and was being attended by, I think it was 4, maybe 5 members of the public. Obviously, immediate concern was the health and well-being of the gentleman on the ground. Are you comfortable where you are at the moment? Yeah, you sure?
66-year-old Nigel has been lying on the ground for half an hour in freezing temperatures. If they don't get him into a warm place soon, he's at risk of developing hypothermia.
We're at a scene here with this gentleman. He's on the floor with no ambulance. Can you hurry them up, please? Because this guy's obviously very cold on the floor.
In the back of the cars, we have obviously the first aid kits, have sort of silver-lined, almost like foil blankets. So we tried to get one round him and more, perhaps importantly, one underneath him to get him off of the floor.
Standing out in sub-zero temperatures to help someone in need is all part of the job as a Special, but Ross wouldn't have it any other way.
I love it. I've done this for over 3 years now as a volunteer, and yeah, I wouldn't choose to do anything else really. It does sort of play a little bit of havoc with your social and personal life, but I was choosing to do this rather than going down the pub, so it was saving me money and keeping me a bit healthier and putting something back into the community.
While they wait for the ambulance to arrive, Ross takes one of the passers-by who witnessed the accident to the car to try and get to the bottom of what's happened.
He's sort of coming in like this, Nigel, and the van's coming back and he hit him on the side.
On the side.
Nigel on the side. And it basically moved him, it basically just moved his chair.
Right.
On top, it's just lost its balance.
And then it toppled over.
Yeah. And that's why
so very slowly, I mean,
very slow.
Not even 5 miles an hour.
No, he wasn't
okay.
speeding at all.
There was nothing at this stage for us to think that there might have been anything untoward in the respect of that it was purely he hadn't seen the gentleman and it was a simple case of an unfortunate accident.
But unfortunate or not, all accidents have to be investigated, and Ross and Samantha need to be sure that there isn't more to this case than meets the eye. The driver is breathalyzed to make sure he hasn't been drinking alcohol.
Very straightforward, like you're blowing up a balloon, okay?
Yeah.
And just keep going until I sort of say stop. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Lovely, that's it. 0, lovely.
It looks like the driver is probably in the clear. But then Ross notices a CCTV camera pointing towards the scene of the accident. There's a possibility it might have captured the moment of collision. They track the owner down to a local shop and spool through the footage from the last hour. They're in luck. The camera has recorded everything. And it shows exactly how the accident happened.
When we saw the CCTV, it was a shock to myself and my colleague how hard the gentleman was hit in the chair and how hard he was thrown from it. I must admit, I did think it was just a case of a nudge and perhaps the chair had just toppled over, but he's literally been thrown from the chair.
The ambulance finally arrives and the paramedics assess Nigel's injuries.
Do you think you can straighten his top leg for me, Nigel?
He's then transferred to a stretcher in preparation for the trip to hospital. For Ross, it's a relief to see the old man finally in safe hands, and it serves as a reminder of why he joined the Specials.
I suppose it's a bit of a cliche, but I suppose it's almost saving the world one day at a time. I do feel like, I really want to make a contribution, make a difference. It's a really good job, and they're helping people, the community aspect of it, helping gents like this. It's not all about the arrests and the criminal prosecutions.
Okay.
This might appear to be just a very unfortunate accident, but the police must consider whether anybody was at fault and whether to press charges.
I'll need to interview the driver. I'm not going to interview him now because he's in a little bit of shock. I'll wait until I've got all the witness statements, and then obviously any other evidence that's gathered, I'll make a decision then.
Nigel spent the night in hospital, but was discharged the following day with only minor injuries. The CPS did prosecute the driver, who pleaded guilty to driving without care. He received 3 penalty points, a fine, and was ordered to pay court costs. 2,000 people die on Britain's roads every year. As a special who focuses on traffic policing, Special Chief Inspector Bill Bond has seen his fair share of accidents.
Responding to reports of road traffic collisions is a major part of the RPU role. We're there doing general enforcement, but we're liable to be dispatched to reports of RTCs at any moment in time.
In Peterborough, it's 6 p.m, and Bill is halfway through his shift with regular officer Darren Nile. They're on their way to a traffic accident on a country road.
This woman's gone off the road into a field.
Hey.
Banged her head.
Oh.
It's a dark night, and Bill and Darren have only been given an approximate indication of where the vehicle is.
The issue with cars that have gone off the road into a field sometimes can be actually finding them. First thing is protect the scene. There's no point in worrying about casualties if they're about to be mowed down by a vehicle approaching from behind.
Bill became a special to help people in just this kind of situation, although he prefers to play down the more sensitive side of the job.
I prefer to depersonalise it a bit and say I enjoy serving the community. I'm from the stiff upper lip generation.
I personally think you're a big softy at heart.
Yeah, but I try and hide it, Darren.
Before becoming a special, Bill was in the army for many years.
I think being in the armed forces is a very good grounding for police work. It gives you the discipline and you're used to wearing uniform. There are lots of things I think people who come to it as a total civilian would find more difficult that somebody who's been in the armed forces just accepts as second nature.
Now retired from the army, Bill divides his time between volunteering as a special and running a small lettings company.
I'm fortunate in that my company virtually runs itself, which enables me to take time off to do policing. I think in the present financial situation, there's obviously a need for as many specials and other volunteers as the police service can attract. I felt I had a choice with my background of either getting off my backside and doing something or sitting on my backside and complaining.
Tonight, Bill is certainly putting his money where his mouth is. A car has come off the road and he and Darren need to make sure the driver is okay and the vehicle is not a danger to other traffic. They find the driver waiting for them at the side of the road. She's clearly shocked, but doesn't appear to have any serious injuries.
Right. You're obviously shaken, but are you okay?
I think so.
Were you on your own in the car? So, what happened?
I think I hit the curb on the curb there.
Right.
And then I went up it, and then I just couldn't control it, and then I came right across the road.
Right, okay. Let's have a look at where it is. You're a lucky young lady.
No, it's on its roof and everything.
According to a report by the Institute of Advanced Motorists, the most common cause of car accidents in the UK is simple driver error or loss of control.
The situation is that a single vehicle travelling on the A47 has, we think, clipped the curb, come across the bank, somersaulted through a fairly substantial 15-foot tall hawthorn hedge and landed on its roof in the field. When I saw the Mini, I thought she was really quite lucky to have walked away from it. I've been to several fatal collisions. When you deal with these things day in, day out, you're just pleased when you arrive at the scene and the driver and any occupants have walked away from it.
Darren takes the driver across to the ambulance, where paramedics will make sure she hasn't sustained any internal injuries.
Is she okay?
Yeah, I believe it's going to be damage only.
Good, I'll get the blow.
They've had a good check.
Yep.
I've left her my jacket, so when she comes out, because I think half of it is she's actually cold, because she's been standing here. So when she's out, we'll pop her in our car to keep warm.
Yep.
Miraculously, the driver has escaped completely unscathed. Others are not so lucky.
I've been to several fatal collisions. We have to take the bodies of the deceased to hospital as part of the continuity of evidence. It's not pleasant, but it's something you do and get on with. The only times I've been upset by death is when I've dealt with somebody of the same sort of age and gender of a parent that I'd lost recently. But that was very much my own personal situation coming out.
After many years spent serving his country, Bill now devotes his time to serving his local community, and he gives his time completely for free.
I worked about 1,900 hours last year, so that is roughly working the full-time hours of a regular officer. I do have a sense of pride in what I do. I don't waste a lot of time thinking about the problems that I see in society. I enjoy being able to tackle some of them in a small way, and I can walk away and sleep soundly having dealt with whatever I've had to deal with.
Now that the driver has been given the all clear by paramedics, her boyfriend arrives to take her home.
There you go, young man, get in there. Go say hello.
And Darren calls a recovery firm to remove the car from the field.
This is probably 15 to 20 feet from the carriageway, on its roof, in a field, so it will need a full high-ab lift. So it will need lifting by crane out of the field.
With the recovery truck en route and the driver out of harm's way, Bill and Darren do their best to salvage some of the driver's belongings from the smashed-up car.
Purse. I should be able to get the rest of the kit out of the car when it's
yeah, it's just the
recovered.
main stuff here. Stick that in there and pop it in the back of our car.
Working as a special is all about teamwork, and where possible, specials are paired with regular officers, something that Bill values highly.
It is very important indeed that you get on with colleagues. I believe that specials should be totally integrated with regular colleagues, and I personally get job satisfaction from working with a team of regular officers.
Right, getting out is going to be... Ouch, I found a thorn.
Oh dear, Bill. Is that spiky?
It is spiky, yes. I located one with my left buttock.
Oh, you're killing me. Oh, beautiful.
The recovery team arrive and face the mammoth task of getting the Mini back over the 15-foot hedge.
We get hold of it somewhere in the wheels here.
Yeah, and just pull it back as much as you can
here.
and just drag it straight through.
Yeah, well, I might cut a little bit of that hedge out. Just one or two, the bigger bits probably out. Just to enable us so we don't get no obstructions when we're going through the gap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then once I get it through there, then I'll flip it back on his wheels.
Flip it back on and get a good look at it inside.
Yeah.
Job's a good one.
Pick it up, truck it on the lorry.
Happy days.
The team get to work cutting through the hedge.
That's better. There you go, there's an indication where the Mini came through. Oh,
There you go.
swing mirror.
Then they attach some chains to the Mini's wheels and drag it towards the hole in the hedge.
We wanted to maintain the integrity of the hedge and to minimise the damage to the landowner's property. The vehicle had to be retrieved. It was a matter of getting it through as small a gap as we could.
What are you going to do? Flip it there? Oh, the wind has gone. Are you going to flip it straight down here?
Once the car is through the hedge, the team flip it back onto its wheels. And it's only now that the team discover how close the driver really came to death.
From how it's looking now, the lady is very, very lucky. The actual impact on the cockpit roof is actually just to the central point. Any further to the right, she would have been killed.
Good job the driver was fairly small. I think somebody my size had been driving it, I could have had fatal head injuries.
No charges will be brought against the driver because there was only one vehicle involved, and the farmer whose hedge was damaged will be able to claim on the driver's insurance. As for the driver, she can count herself lucky that she lived to tell the tale.
As a police officer, you've got a duty of care to anyone you find who needs it. So you do whatever you need to deal with that person's immediate needs. It's impossible to say what would have happened if she hadn't been wearing her belt, but I personally think that she probably owes her life to the fact she was correctly restrained.